Welcome to Rocket Ship, the home of epic React Native content. I'm Simon Grimm, creator of Galaxies.dev, and in today's episode we got some curious, interesting news to discuss. We're talking about Godot, we're talking about Flutter, but honestly, we're also talking about React Native. And I thought there were not too many news this week, but you know, if you've been a long-time listener of this show, there are always super interesting and more than you think news around React Native. So let's dive into what's new and important this week. First of all, Expo announced that they have a new MCP server. Taking a step back, if you're not into all the AI stuff, which you probably should be at least a bit, MCP server allows you to kind of connect your environment, your tools to AI interface. It's a bit like, I think, or at least that's what I imagine, a bit like API calls in the good old days, but now we use MCP servers for that. So Expo came out with this one, become an AI native developer with the Expo MCP server. If that headline rubs you the wrong way, I probably understand. Is this geared towards all the wipe coding folks? I don't think so. Is it geared towards heavy and experienced React Native developers? I also don't know. It's probably somewhere in the middle. Now, what can you do with this MCP server? First of all, you got to install this in your IDE. So you can use this with Cursor, you can use it with VS Code, you can use it with Claude. Then you have to authenticate against Expo. I'm coming back to that in a second. And then you can use a couple of capabilities. There's actually like two ways to use this. There's like server capabilities that Expo offers from the EAS side. And then you can also run a local MCP server. For that, you have to install the Expo MCP npm package in your project. And then you have to run this while you run Expo Start. So if you run it locally, I think you even get a bit more cool stuff going on. Because you can like automate tabs, you can automate screenshot testing, stuff like that. For the general way of using the MCP, you can tell the AI in the chat to learn a specific Expo module, to search the documentation, or what I actually think is pretty cool is to generate a Claude MD file or generate an agents file. However, I just tested this in my local project and I couldn't exactly make it work. I don't know, it was like if it was a problem of the local server or maybe I didn't use Claude correctly. I don't know. There are a lot of capabilities. So, as I said, a lot going on, server capabilities, local capabilities of the MCP, and it's definitely a cool idea. So learn how to use the Expo router as an example prompt, search documentation for deep link implementation. And the great thing is that you will get actually up-to-date information on the right Expo stuff. Because usually if you talk to AI chats, you might get like a very outdated answer and then it's implementing React Native screens instead of Expo router or giving you the wrong commands or doesn't even know what Expo CNG is. And with this MCP, it should directly be hooked up to the Expo documentation and everything else Expo offers, so you get up-to-date information. All of that is the good side. Now we talk about something that's probably not great. So getting started just takes a few minutes. You'll need an EAS paid plan subscription. Okay, so everyone was super hyped probably at this point, or you thought like MCP, I don't care about this at all. I don't blame you. But this fact actually is something we have to talk about. And there's a great video from Beto on the Expo channel where he describes in detail how to use the new MCP server. And the most upvoted comment with 46 likes is, "It's a great addition. However, requiring EAS paid account for using MCP for Expo projects will make this feature unpopular and prevent adoption for sure." And honestly, I gotta say, yeah, I think that's gonna happen. This is, in general, an MCP server, a cool addition, a cool idea by Expo, and it could certainly be something cool that gets built out and gets more traction, but if this is just for EAS paid account, not too many people are going to pick it up, and eventually the interest in this will fizzle out and people will not continue work on this. So I don't know what's like the business idea behind this to make this behind a paywall. I'm honestly not sure. I'm usually on the same page with Expo about most of the stuff they do. For this one, yeah, I don't know. I probably don't know the insights. I don't know. Maybe this is costing them some money internally and they just have to tie this to a paid account. I don't know. But it feels a bit wrong, and I don't know if they will think about this in the future, because I still think there is a potential for this. It could be really helpful with some AI agents. But yeah, while it is a paid account only, I'll probably not dive too much into it in the future. We will stay in the MCP land for a minute more, because Joshua Joes, I think he's still working at Infinite Red, has a new version of the iOS Simulator MCP release. We probably talked about this one before. Pretty cool that Joshua still continues work on this project. It's actually at this point, I think it crossed, 1.2k stars. So it's quite popular. This is an MCP server for interacting just with your iOS simulator. And it comes with pretty cool features. Like the general stuff, you can open the simulator and then you can automate like tapping to a specific X and Y coordinate. You can swipe, you can test views, and in the latest release, he added, open simulator to just in general open the simulator, install a specific app, launch a specific app. And I honestly haven't used this enough yet to give you a full review, but if you're fancy for new tools and you're testing a lot with iOS, definitely give the iOS MCP simulator, first of all, a star on GitHub, but then also try it out in your local application. You can take a screenshot, record a video, and in general, you can just automate a lot of your QA for your application. Okay, that's enough for MCP servers in today's episode. Let's talk about some other news. One of my favorite, maybe this is my favorite library, I don't know. React Native MMKV has released version 4. This is a major new version. It comes with a few breaking changes, I guess. When I used it in my project, I especially noticed that remove or some functionality was slightly different, and how you initialize the initial storage call was a bit different. But now this one is a full rewrite with Nitro. If you haven't heard about Nitro, it is also like Expo Modules and Turbo Modules, a way to build even more performant, I guess, native modules for your React Native application from the team of Magello or Mark Rusavi specifically. So MMKV version 4, faster, better, everything. I still think MMKV should probably be like a default installation for most React Native applications, because it's just the fastest way to use a key value storage. I know some people will say this is not working with Expo Go. At least last time I checked, it's not working with Expo Go. But again, this is not really a reason for me to discard one of like the most popular, small, helpful libraries out there. Okay, version 4, if you want to upgrade, might be a bit challenging. This one's, I think it works actually also again with the old architecture. So you're lucky on that one. I think previously he dropped this, but no, it's working. So get it while it's hot. Otherwise, I noticed that they also released something, or actually it's not Magello, but it's in the realm of Nitro, so I wanted to group this together. The React Native Nitro Device Info package. So package names are getting longer. I don't know if at some point I need a bigger screen to handle all these names. But anyway, this one gives you information about your device. Think of like UUID, operating system, brand, model, stuff like that, but in a synchronous way. And, you know, with Nitro, it's always blazing fast. You also get like the unique ID and manufacturer and all of that. I really like helpful libraries like these that work synchronous and not async. This is really the future. So great library by, what's your name? Nunu Lee is probably the name. So Hoyuan Wu, thanks for creating this one. All right, more news from Enzo. Enzo makes it into pretty much every podcast episode lately. Enzo Magnano is doing something right, absolutely. Lately, Enzo posted about stop using touchable opacity, and I was always like, I'm using that all the time. But apparently there are better ways to handle tab interaction in your application. And he actually created a package, and I think it was released already like last year or so. It's called Presto or whatever. It is almost like a drop-in replacement for touchable opacity. And it just gives you a better animation, better feedback for using pressables in your application. It's built on the React Native gesture handler and reanimated for best possible performance. And you can like use a pressable scale, for example, a component. It works again pretty much just like a touchable opacity, but you can also customize the animations of these pressables. Should they like rotate or scale or anything like that? You can include worklets. So it's actually pretty easy to use. I will probably dive deeper into this in one of the future videos. And he posted a couple of examples of why Presto is cool and how easily you can get like a better result than just using touchable opacity. It's one of these things where it's like for weeks or maybe years I've used touchable opacity, and then I see this and I'm like, yeah, kind of makes sense. This is actually better than what I was using. So if you can spare a minute, if you're up for another package in your application, go check out Presto. It's on GitHub, and I think he just released an update to it, so it's now even better. Then something new. I think I teased this before, but now it is here. Today we're officially releasing React Native Godot to the public, says Yannis Ringwald on X. If you haven't heard about Godot, it's like a game engine. It's maybe, don't want to say like Flutter, but maybe like Unity, probably. But I've seen pretty cool stuff built with Godot. And now you have a super convenient and easy way to wrap your Godot application in a container for React Native. From everything that I've read so far, people have been really impressed with the way that this one works. And it's actually a quite big library. So I think it's amazing that someone or a team took on this to create this library. And I will definitely, I always wanted to build a game. I not specifically wanted to build a 2D game or a 3D or anything like that, but it looks really cool. And just having this possibility makes me want to explore Godot a bit more. I don't know. I will definitely check this out. But if you've been using Godot before, give it a try. See how fast you can wrap your application for React Native. And if not, then next weekend it's time to learn Godot. Another new package comes from Software Mention. I feel like some companies are releasing a package like every other week. I don't know. They have like probably a whole department on that. Let's do a new package. Let's do a new package every week. This week it's React Native Onboarding. And I'm actually kind of excited about this one because the idea of this package is to have a clean onboarding flow easily in your application with some defaults out of the box. I haven't given this a start. Now let's do this. So marketing headline, beautiful, customizable onboarding tutorials flows for React Native with smooth animations, flexible theming, and highly customizable components. Now, this is definitely something I want to have in my application, and I want to have something even more in my application. But for the moment, this is pretty cool because all the time I re-implement this in my own app. I sometimes copy just the folder from previous one and then something is outdated and, And first of all, it's really important to have an onboarding nowadays in your application. This is an essential part of the conversion flow of many applications. Many apps actually make most of their money in the onboarding flow. I had a full video about this a while ago. But basically, you need to tell the user not just like, here, these are the 3 tabs and these are the buttons you can click. That's not exactly what you want. But in the onboarding flow, you can double down on why the user downloaded the app. So let's say the user wants to quit smoking and they download your app. So you want to like reiterate on that pain again. Like, why do you want to quit smoking? How much do you smoke per day? Would this and that help you quit smoking? And you do like 5 or 6 of these things. And the user's like, yes, I want to get better. I want to do this. And I want to set up notifications. And then at the end, you say like, okay, if you're taking this serious, here's our subscription for annual package and you get the discount right now. And the user's like, yes, I definitely need this. So that is a good onboarding flow, not just what I did in the past. We have 3 screens. On this screen, you can do that. Here, this button, it does that. That's not a good onboarding flow, okay? So it's really about conversion. And this package here is a great step in the right direction. Now, what I wish exists, and I posted this, and some people resonated with that as well, is a visual onboarding builder, pretty much like RevenueCat did with their paywalls. So RevenueCat, in-app purchases and stuff, and they have an online editor in the browser where you can configure your paywall, and in your React Native application, you just bring up the paywall and it shows exactly what you configure, and you can change it from outside. And that's exactly what I would like to see for onboarding as well. And I said that there's definitely a market to build this tool and make a lot of money with that, I think. I would have taken it on, but I think it's just too much for me to handle next to what I do. Maybe I should have done it like a year ago. I don't know. I think at one point there will be a successful business and I'm like, oh, why didn't I do that? But anyway, the React Native onboarding package is the first step in the right direction. Maybe Software Mention is actually working on something. That would actually be pretty smart to first have this free open source package and then they develop something on top of it. I don't know. Could be something. Otherwise, I feel like, Jamin, if you're listening, this is something for Infinite Red to tackle. I mean, it's right in your warehouse. You can build something cool and, maybe reach out to me if you're interested. Anyway, great one, React Native onboarding. Check it out on GitHub. Now, the last news item, no, it's actually not the last, the second but last. This one's about Uniwind again. So we're all getting excited about Uniwind. We talked about that there's the public beta at this point. In November, I think Jacek is going to actually release the final version. And he also posted some benchmarks about the render times. And it's interesting to see, Style Sheet remains the fastest way in your application. On top of Style Sheet, there's just like a little overhead if you're using Uni styles. That was pretty clear. But now also Uniwind is also just a tiny overhead above Uni styles. And if you then look at Native Wind, it's like 4 times the overhead of Style Sheet in the time. So I don't want to blame Native Wind. I still think Native Wind is a great package and they're working currently on the next version. But it looks like Uniwind is really, really fast for Tailwind specifically, which is interesting. I mean, Uni styles, of course, it's very close to the Style Sheet and written with the most performance stuff. But that Uniwind can actually be that fast with Tailwind styling is interesting to see. So from the first benchmarks, I'm really curious how Uniwind will be adopted compared to Native Wind. We're going to see when it comes out. And how it evolves over time. But I will definitely keep an eye on this and try it out once it's there. Now for the final news. So this one's a bit spooky. Cedric from Expo released something. So you can actually use Flutter with Expo. I wasn't sure about this. So the Flutter team posted something, build a web app this Halloween with Flutter, and he said, launch it with launch.expo.dev. And people commented you can really do that? And then he made an example of the 2048 game. And he directly launched it to the web. He checked out the GitHub repository. He probably used Expo, what's it called? Expo Launch, right? This is the package we talked about before, where you can plug in your GitHub repository URL and then it can launch to the web and even to app stores quite easily. Now, I don't think this means you can with Expo Dev, launch Expo Dev, actually build a native Flutter app. I think this is only about web applications. So this is probably actually then in that case not too hard to build from a Flutter app, which can build a web app, an Expo app that then runs on the web. But anyway, it's a bit spooky. I don't know if they're going to do something in that direction in the future. I know that in the past, when I used Ionic and Capacitor, they also had some internal, I think, build tools, pretty much like CI/CD stuff, which is also like EAS. And at some point, you could also build React Native applications with Ionic and their CI/CD stuff. So maybe at some point you can use EAS to also build Flutter application, but that would be really weird. I don't know if that's going to happen anyway. Interesting stuff. Maybe we're going to have a container like Godot for React Native where you can then launch a Flutter app in the future. But who really wants that? We got everything that we need with React Native. So before it gets too spooky, let's move on to some build and public news. last week I was sick, that's not the good news, but I still finished the React Native Vault clone recording. I think this one is going to be a big tutorial. I'm actually using CodeRabbit in that video, so we're gonna have a nice little Git flow where we review our PRs. I never did this before, but it's been amazing, and the application itself, I think you will love it. There's so much included, from like animated screens, animated headers, map usage, state management, and custom screen transitions. Really, I highly enjoyed working on that app, and I can't wait to get this one out. So get excited about the Vault clone, probably dropping next week. On top of that, I've been brainstorming a bit because lately I had a challenging time in terms of creating new content and new stuff. And the problem is, I guess, that as a creator, at some point, if this is your main business, you think a lot about what is doing good in terms of numbers, in terms of likes and clicks, and how can I convert people, and which purpose does the specific video XYZ serve. And it kind of completely kills the joy of actually creating stuff. So what I think I want to do, especially in 2026, is just be more creative again and try out different things. And the first thing that might happen is something that I actually did a couple of years ago and that I really enjoyed, and I just, like, for the joy, want to bring it back. I don't know if this gets me any more views, subscribers, anything, but I just think it's a cool thing. So I started work on a little advent calendar for 2025 for React Native. So if you don't know the concept, it's like 25 days or 24 days in December. Every day there's a little door to unlock with a little tip or trick or tool that I want to share. And I personally like that stuff in December, and I hope I can create something cool. I only vibe coded like the general logic for Galaxy so far, where I'm gonna host it. I still need to create all the content. So I don't know exactly if it's going to happen, but I really want to see this happen. So I think I'm just going to make it happen. And the second thing I think I'm gonna make happen again is live streaming. So because I was sick last week, I watched a couple of streamers, and I just like the general, like, the vibe of streaming. I did this a couple of times in the past, and then it always drifted off into another video I had to prepare, and I always had a topic, and it was like another video per week, and it just became too much. So I'm still figuring out a way of how we can probably live stream just casually, talking about some news, maybe writing some code without like a super formal and big structure and announcing something and everything is planned and then it's a good video for YouTube. No, I really just want to have it raw and more interaction with you, talking about stuff, hearing your questions live in a live stream. So I don't know exactly when the first one will be. Maybe I'm also just gonna play some WoW live and we can talk about some code while that. I really just want to give this a try again and see if it somehow fits into what I do, because at the core, I really like live streaming, the interaction and the excitement of it. And because in 2026, I want to get back to this like more creative aspect of just creating things because I enjoy creating them. So that will definitely fit into this. More on this soon. I'll keep you updated. Let's finally talk about a little trend in technology topic. This topic actually is a kind of nice transition from exactly what I described before. Many times I schedule some tweets with like tips for React Native and stuff and trying to help people, and then the other day I just randomly posted something on X because it was a Tuesday morning and I felt like, yeah, it's just my thoughts. And I posted, knowing which libraries for React Native exist and when to use which feels like 50% of the work. And I'm like, nothing special. But honestly, it's been, again, one of those tweets that had the most interaction with like 400 likes. I don't know even why people bookmark this, but anyway, 40 comments almost and retweets. And I thought that, that's really interesting. So that really resonates with people. And it seems to be that this is a very common problem for React Native developers. Knowing which libraries exist and which you can use in your application is tough. some people mentioned that, yeah, we got React Native Directory, and I absolutely agree. But A, some people might not even know about React Native Directory, and B, the problem is, especially for if you're starting something new, and I can relate to this because a couple of months ago I tried out Flutter, and you as a beginner don't even know exactly what you're looking for sometimes, and even that's even more challenging if you're like a web developer coming to React Native. So you're building a native mobile app, and you've maybe never heard of a context menu or some sort of overlay or a force touch or whatever. So you have even the problem that you don't know what exists, so you can also not really search for that thing. That's been also always the problem with like Google, and like Google was actually kind of good at some point figuring out what you wanted. But I think for React Native, this is a very big problem, but it's probably a big problem for all languages, that you just, as a beginner, don't know that all these great libraries exist, that we got Reanimated, that we got a gesture handler, that we got MMKV, which is super performant, that Zustand can be used with React Native in combination, like all these things. So I don't know how we could tackle that. I'm probably gonna do a video about this next year. I don't know if I'm gonna do like the 25 most popular libraries for React Native, but it might help people. If it's like a 10-15 minute video, they just gonna see like all the libraries that we got available. Not like the 1,000 libraries of the community, but like the essential libraries and for specific purposes that you can use in your React Native application. Anyway, just wanted to share this. It's probably a pain you've experienced before as well. So let me know on X in the comments here if you've also noticed this problem, if you have any thoughts about making this work, and also let me know your thoughts about the Expo MCP we explored initially. Is it just my feeling that it will fizzle out if it just stays like this? Leave a comment and also stay tuned for the Vault clone dropping next week. Hope you're gonna have an epic week of writing some cool code. Don't forget to check out Godot and learn Godot next weekend. We had the agreement, and maybe you're gonna see me in a live stream in a couple of days or weeks where I will build a Godot app with React Native. Anyway, have a great week, and I will catch you next time. So until then, happy coding, Simon. Thanks for joining today's episode. My goal is to share interesting stories and insights into the world of React Native development. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. And on Spotify and Apple, you can leave up to a 5-star review. Because podcasts, and especially niche podcasts like this, are hard to find, subscribing and leaving a review does help me a lot. On top of that, check out my React Native courses on galaxies.dev that cover a variety of topics from getting started to building and publishing your mobile app. Finally, you can share today's episode with a friend or colleague who would enjoy the topic of the show. If you have any questions or ideas for future episodes, find me on X or leave a comment on YouTube. And last but not least, thank you for listening and happy coding, Simon.